Hi everyone, it's William. I have got a second video today. I just finished doing the video for Dimitri's diary entry of February 11th, 1915, and this is something about the pre-war period. It would have been it would have been before 1909 because it's about Grand Duke Vladimir Alexandrovich, Dimitri's uncle. And I think, I should have looked it up, but I think he died in 1909. So this would have been well before that. And it's actually a literary reference to him that I find quite amusing. It's from one of the 7 volumes of Marcel Proust's semi-autobiographical work, although a novel. I think this is the 3rd volume, Sodom and Gomorrah. Proust was gay, although he writes himself in as a straight man, but he has a lot to say. Some positive things, some negative things about gay people primarily in Paris. In that time period, and that I mention that in passing because of the title, but it has nothing to do with Vladimir. So I want to read you the selection that mentions him. It was probably a real event. Some of the people in Proust's works were based, some of the characters were based on real people. The Duc de Guermantes was not. The Duchess, however, was based not on one actual person, but of more than one real person that Proust actually knew. I'll spell that name. It's Guermantes, and I have no idea how to pronounce it. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to read directly from the English translation of the book, which was done by John Storek, and a very good translation. I read the book in French years ago, and then I decided recently to read it in English because I know, I missed things when I was reading it in French. So here we go. One of these I should set the scene. So Proust is at a big grand party given by the Guermantes, the Duke and Duchess, I think. I don't know. It's a big, sprawling, aristocratic family, and there are different members with, some of them seem to have the same title. Anyway, he's at this big party. It's both indoors and outdoors, and there's this magnificent fountain that has been badly engineered in the sense that if the wind hits it just right, the water can drench people. There's quite a powerful stream of water. Okay, here we go. One of these minor accidents, which hardly ever occurred except at moments when the breeze got up, was somewhat disagreeable. Madame d'Arpajon had been led to believe that the Duc de Guermantes, in actual fact not yet arrived, was with Madame de Surgy in the galleries of pink marble, which were reached through the double colonnade, hollow inside, that rose from the rim of the basin. Now, just as Madame d'Arpajon was about to enter one of these colonnades, a strong gust from the warm breeze twisted the jet of water and inundated the good lady so thoroughly that, with the water trickling down inside her dress from her décolletage, she was as soaked as if she had been plunged into a bath. Then, not far away, a rhythmical rumbling sound, loud enough to be audible by an entire army, yet prolonged in periods as if it were addressed not to the whole assembly, but successively to each section of the troops. It was the Grand Duke Vladimir, laughing for all he was worth at the sight of Madame de Arpajon's immersion, one of the jolliest things he liked to say afterward he had ever witnessed in all his life. A few charitable souls pointing out to the Muscovite that a word of condolence from him was perhaps in order and would give pleasure to the lady who, although she would never see 40 again, and even as she was mopping herself with her scarf without asking for anyone's help, had extricated herself despite the water that had made the rim of the basin treacherously wet, the Grand Duke, a kindly man at heart, thought action, okay, I read that wrongly. It's one of Proust's famously long sentences. A few charitable souls, blah, 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 would give pleasure to the lady who, although she would never see 40 again, and even as she was mopping herself with her scarf without asking for anyone's help, had extricated herself, despite the water that had made the rim of the basin treacherously wet. The Grand Duke, I see what the problem is. There should have been a sentence. There should have been a period there. Okay, the Grand Duke, a kindly man at heart, thought action was called for, and the last drum rolls of laughter having hardly been stilled, a fresh rumbling could be heard, still more violent than the earlier one. "Bravo, old girl," he cried, clapping his hands as if at the theater. Madame de Arpajon did not appreciate having her dexterity praised at the expense of her youth, and when someone said to her, deafened by the sound of the water, which was dominated even so by the thunder of Monseigneur, "I believe His Imperial Highness said something to you." "No, it was Madame de Souvray," she replied. Okay, I read that very badly, but I hope you find it amusing, as did I. So we see the Grand Duke as being, well, Proust says he was a kind man, and when he realized what he had done, he, he kind of tried to make it all right, but he insulted her again by calling her old girl, and she wasn't young, but she was at an age when you're not having made the transition yet that, oh yes, I am old. Okay, so anyway, it rings true from what I know about him. He was certainly a bon vivant. Interesting that he was here in Paris, that he probably, brushed past Proust here and there at the Ritz and various other places in Paris, but, who knows if they were ever introduced. Proust was quite strict with himself, being not of the aristocratic class, not to offend the customs of the aristocrats, one of them being that you didn't introduce yourself to someone. You waited until you were introduced. Anyway, if you want to read the book, again, this is the Penguin Classics edition, Sodom and Gomorrah, and this reference to Vladimir is on pages 60 to 61. And I may just do another one of these because there's a reference to our Dimitri not in Proust, but in a book by Somerset Maugham, The Razor's Edge. So, anytime I find a reference to a Romanov in literature, I'll try to fit that in. So, yeah, I hope I see you for tomorrow's Dimitri video. Bye.